Alright guys, Papa Pepper here with day 3 of 50 Days to Understand the End Times More Accurately. Again, just a nice short little section to read, a point or a couple points to focus on, just a little bit to digest on a daily basis to help us understand things about the end times a little more accurately than is commonly being promoted out there in modern Christianity. Day 3, the 70th week of Daniel. The supposed 7-year tribulation period is based upon a concept called the 70th week of Daniel. In Daniel chapter 9, verse 24, 70 weeks are mentioned. Quote, 70 weeks are determined upon thy people and upon thy holy city, to finish the transgression, and to make an end of sins, and to make reconciliation for iniquity, and to bring in everlasting righteousness, and to seal up the vision and the prophecy, and to anoint the most holy. End quote. Whatever we are to determine about the 70th week of Daniel, we would do well to remember that it is just one, the final week, of a period containing 69 other weeks. The purposes previously listed in relation to all 70 of these weeks, and not just the first 69 or the last one. So the 6 specific purposes that are listed in this verse for the 70 weeks are as follows. Number 1, to finish the transgression. Number 2, to make an end of all sins. Number 3, to make reconciliation for iniquity. Number 4, to bring in everlasting righteousness. Number 5, to seal up the vision and the prophecy. And number 6, to anoint the most holy. These are the only purposes listed. Please note that God's wrath is never mentioned in the purposes for these 70 weeks. If the entire 70th week of Daniel is supposedly synonymous with the tribulation, and if the tribulation is when God pours out his end-time wrath, then we should see something mentioned about it. The passage continues, quote, know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and build Jerusalem unto Messiah the Prince shall be 7 weeks and 62 weeks. The street shall be built again, and the wall, even in troublous times. Daniel chapter 9, verse 25. Here we see the first 69 weeks mentioned, 70 weeks, or 7 weeks, which is 7, plus 62 weeks, 62, equals 69 weeks. And after 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off, but not for himself. And the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary, and the end thereof shall be with the flood, and unto the end of the war desolations are determined. End quote. Daniel 9, verse 26. After these first 69 weeks are finished, there remains only 1 week left, the 70th week of Daniel. Let's examine what Scripture tells us about this week. Quote, and he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. And in the midst of the week he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease. And for the overspreading of abominations he shall make it desolate, even until the consummation. And that determined shall be poured upon the desolate. End quote. Daniel chapter 9, verse 27. As you might have suspected, there is no mentions of God's wrath in this verse either. We only read that this week will be confirmed by a covenant, and in the midst of the week, the temple sacrifices will be taken away, and the abomination of desolation will occur. Even if we are to conclude that the tribulation is just a man-made term used to describe the 70th week of Daniel, we do not have any biblical evidence thus far that it is a specific time of God's wrath. All we know for sure so far is that the Antichrist will make a covenant with many for 7 years, 1 week, and he will commit the abomination of desolation. So the point for day 3 is there is no mention of God's wrath in relation to any of the 70 weeks of Daniel, much less the 70th week specifically. Some food for thought, some things to think about as we progress slowly through this. Like I said, I'm going to use all 50 these days to hopefully bring you guys around to an understanding, a fuller grasp of some things, and just try to give you a bite-sized bit to chew on. So think about that. I'll see you tomorrow. Pop out.